Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back here with our owner of his own company. He's a coach, Emotional Intelligence Mastery. Yes, we're talking about Neuro, Transformative Therapeutic Breakthrough Coaching. And people might say, what is that? Well, the man of the hour is here back, and Daniel Sean's going to talk a little bit about what he does and, of course, all the people he can help. And by the way, he's based out of Vancouver, but can virtually help you anywhere around the world. Daniel, tell us a little bit about what Emotional Intelligence Mastery is all about.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, we're all going to have probably our own form of that and what we feel that to be. It definitely is about speaking forthright, commanding our presence in a certain way, speaking from a place that we feel connected to others in business and personal relationships, and really just coming from that true inner freedom. So that's like one of the core things that about emotional intelligence mastery.
Perfect. And by the way, how can we reach out to you?
Great. So you can just book a 45-minute complimentary session with me. That's www.danielsean, DANIELSEAN.ca. And it can just streamline you to one complimentary appointment, and you get a big breakthrough in that. I'm all about the breakthroughs that people can have.
Well, could you tell us a little about some of the core principles that you coach?
Yes. So the sense of when I say like inner freedom, people are going to have some interesting, their own interpretation of that. Essentially, and in business, marriage life, personal life, with friendships, we really don't want to ever feel that we're held back. We never want to feel that we're around people that we have to walk around eggshells with, right? That we're ever need their approval of. So that's kind of how, if everyone expresses from a sense of their inner freedom, we are we're in letting and we're encouraging that in others, which comes a lot usually from, oh, I couldn't be this when I was a child, or I never thought I could be this way, or I'm like a broker now full time, but I always wanted to sing or act on the side. I believe it's just about all of those parts of us coming out, uh, from young adults to adults, even for people in their 50s and 60s. We have a lot of those dreams that we want to live, and that's a lot about what emotional intelligence is living our dream and how we can keep growing.
Great. And by the way, this work that you do, right? And just to remind everyone, this is something that can be done anywhere around the world and on phone, on Zoom, just like this. The power of it is here and it's within. It doesn't have to be in person, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
That's also a good
Yeah.
benefit.
You're accentuating
Yep.
your own sense of inner success,
Got it.
essentially, internally and then externally.
Perfect. Exactly. And that's, of course, those interactions. How many people have you worked with, would you say? And how did those interactions change your life and their lives? Always good to hear some stories.
Yeah, like I really honestly, I might feel like I'm an expert and I know some things for sure. Everyone teaches me a lot too. So in that way, when people want to consider they're the student or the master, or they're the teacher and the student, we're always learning. I've just learned a lot from doing a lot of deeper transformative healing work for myself, that those conversations, we're in a different way when we conversate. When we're in anyone with like a coach, facilitator, counselor, psychotherapist, therapist, right? There is a natural power rule. And so how I do that is, even if I feel I'm in power, I'm sure there's something they could teach me as well. And what I've learned about this, a lot, about 1,300 people I've worked with in the past 5 years, body work, breath work, and now in my first year of coaching. We all want to have incredible relationships. We all really want to have these like larger than life relationships. And some of that is a tiny bit of compromise of our idealisms of what we want, from men to women, expectations, women to men, how we can learn from knowing our body. That's a big thing that I've taught a lot about with them, the somatic little masteries and keys to our body hacks, but what we're thinking. And so essentially that's what I've taught them a lot, is the quality of like their thoughts and their behavior and their emotions, which really, really does matter. And then all of a sudden we're having the conversations about, well, diet comes a little bit into play. What do you think about? What do you want? How are you like
Yeah.
taking steps to get that in their life? And now this is another big thing, like with parents, when we're growing up with children, we think that like part of us have to die in order for this other part of us to flourish, right? The
Hmm.
maybe the wild expressive side, maybe the side that takes more emotional risks to provide that safety and protection for our children.
Yeah.
But the boys and girls are going to be that much more elated and that much more looking at us to be role models when we do take those emotional risks and maybe working full time and we start doing the thing that encourages that inner freedom in our children. So, in terms of what we learn and taught about each other, I will sometimes become that, so to speak, student, learning from them if it's not always one way street. And most of the time is what we've taught about each other is that we're more relational than we think. And we're more on like there's a professional facade of an exterior way in which we speak, and then there's a more kind of like compassionate way of really, really understanding someone, what everything that they've been through. Take a moment and fit in their shoes, like step into their shoes for a moment so you can really actually understand their world.
Hmm.
And then and then I can come from that place. If I just hear them talk for a few minutes and I'm trying to gauge like, oh, this would be the answer, I need to hear them 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes at least to truly understand what like the cadence and quality of their thoughts are before I will even usually speak. So it's really taking a deeper degree to understand, relate to their world, they relate to you, and
Hmm.
then come from that place of like, hey, I really have something for you that really will truly improve your life. And if you just do these little things, all of a sudden the quality of your thoughts, emotions are going to get better. So that's a lot of, it's very reciprocal in that way. And what we've taught each other, just most of the time, I am in that power role. I'm coming from the coaching place because I've lived a very diverse and interesting life. So that's a lot. We really want to have incredible relationships to ourselves, and then we have incredible relationships to others. Many people want to flip that, and maybe they want to go outside of themselves to get really incredible relationships. If you're not really an incredible person to be around yourself and you feel that way literally when you're alone, then a lot of other people will not feel that way towards you.
Makes a lot of sense. Wow. Yeah, I'm at a point in my life where I'm alone. I've been alone forever. I have two little boys, one by myself, one with a friend, and I've my relationships don't ever work out. And now, I mean, I go back to childhood trauma. My parents didn't get along, but I'm actually okay. I'm content with being alone with my kids. And then people try to come out in my world and try to date and do things, and I'm like, I don't have time for you. This is who I am, and I'm owning it. I'm actually feeling good about myself finally. Like it's so funny that I'm in a place where I don't need that anymore to track someone. I used to try and then it would always be the wrong thing and it wouldn't work out. And now I'm like, no, I'm okay. I finally became with the love of my two little boys. Like people think it's crazy maybe, but we sleep together. We do everything together. We're just like this unit and that's all I'm happy with them and it makes me happy. And I've changed as a person, which I'd probably be ready for a relationship, but no, I don't want one. I got a relationship with my two boys right now and they're most important. But you're right, not everyone's ready. And I've done that not being ready. And clearly the outcome didn't work out and it shows. So if you're not happy within,
Yes.
how is someone else going to make you happy? I can
Yes.
relate. Yep.
Yeah. And I don't think you're crazy at all, Jill. I think that's like
Thank.
that's fine. They're 6 or 8 years old.
I-
Do you know that kind of like physical affection that they're going to remember as actually literally for their own inner confidence as they're
Mhm.
going into young adults and boys or
Yeah.
girls? Like honestly, it really makes that difference. Do you think
Yeah.
the level of their safety in themselves, how
Hmm.
they physically express themselves,
Yeah.
I honestly believe that will help them to flourish
Well,
even
I
more.
hope, you know what, just point and show. Again, there's 6 and 8, 2 boys, and we just adopted a cat from the shelter that's blind in one eye. And the love they're giving this cat, I said it to them last night. I'm like, this is like how I love you. I hug, I kiss. My 6-year-old says, Mom, I want to squeeze her so tight. I'm going to pop her like a pimple. I'm like, so this is how I feel. I know you love me, but I overlove them, and now they're overloving the cat. So I see this affectionate side coming out of them, and I'm like, all right, this is a good thing. They're learning to love something like I love and like just be super loving and kind. So I'm hoping it helps too. Sorry to digress. But
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that piece. Appreciate that.
well, and then some people go out and we work on self-development, but some people may see that as a turnoff. So let's talk about that, right? Because what's a way our listeners can be excited about growing?
Yes, I know. You hear words like discipline, self-development, armoring, trauma, all those words. I mean, I went through some time there where I truly believe like, oh, this kind of stuff to excavate and dig up, like this is going to take months or years. And that was my experience. But now that I've studied this for so long, there are ways I can accelerate people's personal development. The thing is we are very unconsciously addicted to our pain. So what do people want to call that? Like ego. My coaching and teaching around ego is actually it's not bad. No,
Mm-hmm.
in many spiritual conscious worlds, like
Yeah.
ego, I think it's bad. Like, oh, I have to disassociate, and you know that is somewhat valuable to
Mm-hmm.
actually know what your ego is. Yes, but no, it's got to be our best friend. Like, literally, we have to love our ego. It's more that obviously those are very, very dark aspects of ourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about this and what we're talking about personal development from my way of how I coach it, which is all about inner freedom and expressiveness to excel in business and personal relationships,
Mm-hmm.
is that those sides got to come out. And for men, this can be weird and scary. You have dark things about what you believe about your sexuality, about what you believe about women, about what you
Mm-hmm.
believe about relationships, what things could be and can be. And I almost feel like we went through this blender. We were growing up in the 90s. I'm 40 years old, so very highly romanticized fairy tale stories. Now we're
Mm-hmm.
in this time where like there's a lot of derogatory, almost like sex is getting put on the spotlight and everything gets hyper objectified and
Yeah.
sexualized. Now we're integrating the dark aspects of our sexuality as men into our real
Mm-hmm.
lives. So we're not no longer the nice guy. We're no longer the like people pleaser. A lot from women can be that way. And that's what I'm talking about when it's actually exciting. You just have to do that tiny little bit of work to know the way that you operate. And all of a sudden that starts to change. Now you're given more motivation and passion. So people say, like,
Yeah.
well, it takes a lot of work to go to the gym 3 to 5 times a week. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, over the last couple of years, I've had that hesitation, that barrier. And then all of a sudden, you're like, this isn't about ego or facade. I feel great and my health has improved
Yep.
and I'm building up mass and physique in
Mm-hmm.
my case to go to the gym. So it's worth it for me. And then the endorphin release starts to pay off. In the first week, month or so, it's like you're building the capacity for your endorphins and for those happy chemicals
Yeah.
to be released in the body. And what's more on the forefront? Our toxins, our laziness, the way that we want to maybe binge watch TV or things like that that keep us really held back and in our shell. So that's how we get excited, is like that first week or a month, getting over the hump to slowly change our behavior, kind of like we are training to feel great.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, that's like a compounding snowball effect that all of a sudden now it's like, great, I don't need the motivation to push myself to the gym because I just create it as like an automatic action. Now I'm in my car. Now I am driving to the gym and I go, right? So whether or not I just want to cut that workout
Mm-hmm.
short or do the full one, that is how we get over those little ruts to literally change the biochemistry of our brain to be our self
Yep.
motivators. Yeah. And so that's a lot about how we get excited as like, you know, I don't want to feel like I do it in the beginning. And all of a sudden, literally 1 or 3 months, you're like a different version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
No, I do want to go. This feels amazing. And like, I'm just going to get over that little hesitation, the friction in the mind and go. And now I'm like in that mode of taking actions that truly improve and make my body feel great.
And you're going to give us some body hacks?
Sounds great. Good. So we did this one last time, and
Yep.
that's so good. Smartphone muscle one, major meridian in the body. Okay, this is one thing, bar none, that will help people so much. Start brushing your teeth. Sounds strange. With your opposite hand.
Other hand.
Other hand. So one
That's
of the
why I
biggest
have
things.
gum recession on this side. They said yes, but go ahead.
Oh, well, you certainly don't look like it. You have like
Well,
such
I
curly hair.
do because I brush too hard just on this side. So that's why they told the dentist told me to switch. But why else are you telling us to switch?
Right. Okay. I cannot tell you the benefits I've gotten, and this is more of something professionally I do on the side. I've been a drummer, but I'm the opposite hand drummer. So it just means that I have trained myself on my non-dominant side. I'm left-handed. I train myself to drum right. Now I've been doing it for 28 years. The hidden benefits of us slowly training our non-dominant side of our body, I cannot possibly overemphasize in a bit of a longer scheme, maybe months, maybe this would be like after a year after you do that and you feel the awkwardness. Okay, I'm brushing. Because what that the particular thing of the brushing the teeth is detail oriented and you're like looking at yourself in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to like, it's like looking in a mirror and doing something backwards. That's how awkward it's going to feel. And you just keep doing it every night, like every morning, every night, however often you brush your teeth. If you just start using your non-dominant side of your hand or your leg, do that as awkward as it feels. And you will start to do something with hemisyncing in the brain, which is optimizing both lobes or hemispheres of your brain so that
Okay.
for like men that are highly logical and analytical, they're mostly only using the left side. That's like, this is just analytical. They're usually very right-handed. So you
Wow.
want to start training. That's one of the biggest body hacks that I advocate for, which is atypical. A lot of people don't talk about this, but I've known like very, very high level experts that say,
Even
do this.
could I teach my kids 6 and 8 now? Start doing it. Might as well,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes, start using the
Okay.
non-dominant side. And then even like writing, even writing a little bit.
Yep.
Maybe it's stuff you just don't, doesn't matter. The
Yeah.
awkwardness is, yes, obviously it's going to literally feel that way. Like, I'm not using my best hand. Like, why am I not? Because you are improving that. Your one hand is probably a pro. It's already a pro already. As at a certain point, it's like the compounding gains doesn't pay off. Training your non-dominant side payoffs immediately, and that's why it feels that way. Like it's weaker, it's not my strong side. Yeah, that's also that hemisphere of your brain saying that to yourself as well. So start training that, and it's helped me in ways that like I can't even say, because my emotional intelligence side is super high. I'm left-handed, but my analytical and the like what
Mm-hmm.
matters and like knowing numbers and memory and like being very rational,
Okay.
that's also very strong. So we want that, train that. You can do it in sports as well, in the gym. There's so many opportunities for you to do it. Driving with the other side, right? One hand on the wheel,
Mm-hmm.
do the other hand. There's such easy little body hacks. It's like you just literally incorporate it. What you're already doing in the day, you're just using the other hand. And because it doesn't matter at that time, it's literally improving your coordination, your rhythmic prowess, your like your athleticism, your
Mm-hmm.
performance. So non-dominant side body hack, that's the body hack training of the day to day. And I just like to usually live one because it all of a sudden easily
Yep.
starts getting overwhelming for people.
Good. And remind us how we can reach out to you before we continue, please.
www.danielshawn.ca. The website is freshly revised there for you. We're blowing through your limiting beliefs.
And let's move on now. Still, we have more to talk about today. And unfortunately, my internet's not working, so I can't refresh the page for the next topic. Where did we leave
Okay.
off?
Okay.
Oh, flow
Well,
state. It's back. Flow state.
okay, great. Awesome. No problem. I know that's a great one. So, people talk about this flow state, right? So these are hyper creative modes
Mm-hmm.
that you're in like a different brain state. So they have alpha, beta, theta, all these different brain states. You're in one of these optimized, highly creative states.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, you're training self that you can be in those states longer and be honestly creating anywhere from like 20% to up to 200% more productive
Mm-hmm.
than we're in the monotony of the day to day, or we're, eyes glued on a screen. We're just working. Sure. So you want to use the flow state in your work, in your creative work, to optimize your work and get longer focus, hyper focus. Now, how are we going to do that? Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's a bit tricky. A couple of the ways that I know that I can do it. One is when I am drumming, which is something I do in the side, I am in that state. I'm fully in the state. It just means that my body is moving rhythmically, which at first feels like effort. And after a time, it's not effort. It's therapeuticizing my body. And I have some of the best ideas for that musically, but also in my personal life when I am in that mode and when I'm doing that. I can also be in a flow state when I am coaching someone in
Mm-hmm.
a session because I am literally attuning myself to them to understand them. And we get in a rapport that literally brings up and elevates our endorphins and everything we feel. It's like that feeling of the
Yeah.
yes feeling, the hell yes feeling, or whatever people want to call it. It feels so exciting and larger than life, and you want to be in this. Now, this is a big thing that men have a huge block to.
Okay.
It's like they can't think that they can be in this happy, pleasant, excitable mode, and they block that excitement, something in their child or something they don't believe. And they're, the men that are more kind of brooding and they're more like
Mm-hmm.
they got some kind of dark, weird psyche aspect about them that they're, they don't join in. And so you have to give that to yourself,
Yep.
the gift of getting in that flow state. Now, you can get in that flow state in sports. You can get that flow state in music, listening to music, singing, expressing yourself,
Yep.
anything to do with expression. But we're bringing this into your work world for your content making, for if you're an entrepreneur or a coach. And it feels that you are literally free. And that's why you can't be worried about being embarrassed. When you're in your flow state, you're in it. And it's like a surrender that you just don't care about anything else. So that's how we're
Mm-hmm.
slowly getting that flow state. Everyone's going to have their own way. Some people are swimmers. They're in the flow state when they're swimming.
Got it.
Some men are construction workers at work putting their headphones in and they just get into a mode. They're like half dancing at work, but they're in their own world. You do want that. Now all of a sudden, the things that are bringing your excitement and the pleasure and like your favorite music to
Yeah.
listen to is putting you in that state.
Zone.
So that's
That
just kind
flow.
of like how you can demand it,
Yeah.
and literally the feelings are going to kind
Okay.
of be like that. Like you're going to get goosebumps, you know, a very similar to a flow state is like polarized attraction in couples or dating. It's very much similar to that. It's like, holy, I cannot believe the way this woman makes me feel or the way that I make her feel. And when we're in each other's company, it's like anything is possible.
Yeah.
So it's just you're giving that to yourself and how to be in a flow state. And guys, get out of your head because when you're in a flow state, it is quite attractive to women. So you don't have to be worried about, that embarrassing aspect. I believe everyone has it. So that's how you can start to will,
Awesome.
if it's a little time, will that flow state on demand.
Perfect. And we just got 2 minutes left. Do you want to talk a little bit about better what makes a better choice, right, for business? Emotional intelligence. What makes emotional intelligence a better choice for business and
Yes.
personal results?
Yes. Well, in this age, last 2 minutes here, honestly, the age of the hard sales guy, willing it down, forcing the sale. We don't like that so much these days. People are willing to want to make that interaction in a business way to buy your product or service. And the way they want to do that is they want to get to know you. If you are an owner, a CFO, a CEO, and you do not have a high understanding of emotional intelligence, people will not want to work with you. They might be one-time buyers, but they're not going to be reoccurring buyers, and your retention rate is slowly going to drop off, your conversion rates. So you really want to have that sense of continuity in yourself, and that people are making better and better psychological, emotional intelligent decisions to give from a place that your audience wants more of. And if you lack in that emotional intelligence, maybe you're one of the best sales guys, but eventually, if you don't enjoy seeing yourself on camera as you're making the content, that's one way. Be incredibly naturally charismatic and who you are on camera and get yourself across. You have to make those decisions to improve your psychological, mental, emotional health. What you put in your body, who you surround yourself with matters. So that's how you start making better and better personal and business decisions, by prioritizing your audience and not compromising who you are in your business. And that translates directly into your personal world. So emotional intelligence, 90% of top performers need it to be successful.
All right. Thank you so much. Daniel Sean, how do we reach you?
www.danielshawn.ca. Thank you so much, Dill. Have a great day and appreciate your time.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.